Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome again to another live stream for MDI here. My name is Johnny Wu. We do this once a month to interview some of my friends, how very, very talented filmmakers that I have met throughout the years and to learn from them. And today we are very honored to have one of the award-winning Atlanta, Georgia filmmaker, Darion D'Anjou. So I'm going to bring him on stage now. Hey, Darion.
Johnny, how's it going, man?
Good, good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
So
Are you-
we see all the beautiful sky there in the background. So why don't you tell us a little bit where you at right now? So that's kind of
Oh,
exciting.
yes, yeah. I'm living the good life right now in beautiful sunny California. I'm actually out at Stanford University, where my daughter, who is right there, she is hosting me for the weekend. It's Parents' Weekend, so I came out to see her, and I'm very proud of her. And this is one of the buildings, actually, that she spends a lot of time at. Where she does a lot of art, the Mercury Building. So it's a beautiful, beautiful place to create and do art.
Yeah, definitely. It looks very beautiful, and the sky there is beautiful. It's like I'm so jealous. We have snow here today, last week.
Oh, you got
Yesterday
snow there
too.
today? Oh no.
Well we have sunny though, but yesterday it snowed like crazy. So
Oh yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody about who you are and how you started as a filmmaker.
yeah, Johnny. That's a good question. The funny thing is, like, filmmaking is actually a second career for me, and even though it was the career that probably should have been the first career, so hopefully in some way, if I could inspire people who maybe think that they would have wanted to do film to not think that it's over, that you can actually just switch careers, because I've only been doing this for 5 years. um, and I had to kind of enter it in a very independent way, since I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to art school or any of the kind of traditional kind of methods towards film. I had to learn it on my own.
Wow. So and how did you start when you learned by your own? And what kind of obstacle did you get experience when you're doing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, well, I think the first obstacle for me was fear, right? So, internal fear of just, um, when you think of filmmaking and directing as a career, or the way I thought about it was something that maybe was unreachable, or something that's so complicated and hard to do that um, that I was very afraid. So, even though I was writing scripts, I learned to write scripts, and I did a lot of screenwriting courses and things like that. Um, I was afraid to become a director, so I did almost everything else that you could possibly do, except directing, to sort of build my confidence that I could be a visual storyteller. So um, I would start with doing some art classes when I lived near Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So I did a 2 year animation course, art and animation. And I started working on a graphic novel. I did a Kickstarter to create a graphic novel. And the idea was, oh, if I could take one of my scripts and turn it into a graphic novel and people like that, then that would give me more confidence that my story wasn't good just on paper, but was also good in a visual medium. Um, and so that's why I did the graphic novel, and I actually also wrote two novels first. So these were all for me just to build the confidence that the stories I was writing in script form would be accepted by people in other forms. So I did really take kind of a long kind of path to just really build my confidence. And when people reacted well to the successful Kickstarter, people were really excited about the story. And I did the novels, and people were really excited about those. And so that's when I said to myself, okay, I do think that these stories will probably be enjoyable to people if I can get them made into films. And
Right.
that's when I first decided, okay, let me just make a feature.
Wow. So your first project was a feature film?
Yeah, it was crazy, because it was like, as careful and like deliberate as I was before being willing to make a film, when I did decide, I like went straight for a feature. And it was a complete VFX feature too, Johnny. It was like, I had a green screen that I built in my apartment, and I shot the whole thing in front of a green screen. And we
Wow.
did actually finish shooting it, but what I didn't realize was I didn't have the computer capacity or the knowledge to do any kind of like visual effects on my own. And so I had to take a step back. And that's when I kind of pulled back and realized, okay, I need to build this thing slowly. I need to do short films first and then kind of build up.
So that means that the feature film was never released, right?
Yeah, it's still on my hard drives, and at one point I will get it done. It's funny because at that time I didn't understand or know anything about visual effects,
Yeah.
and now, as you know, I work for one of the largest visual effects companies in the world, and so 5 years later, a lot has changed, and so I do think I'm at the point where I could tackle those visual effects and finish that feature.
Wow, that's something I didn't know about. I didn't know you tackled the feature film first. So I guess your first short film after you take a break from the feature, what was like to put that together? Was there a lot of heartache, and did you have all the gears, with any crew members? And tell us a little bit about that, please.
That's a good question. Okay, so Johnny, so at that point is when I started pulling back a bit and asking people a lot more questions and getting a lot more just advice from people. And one of the things I did was the 48-hour film festival.
Mm.
And that was a great way for me to meet a lot of people in the Atlanta area. We had a pretty big crew, and I was confident about my ability to write and tell the stories, but about shooting and cinematography and all of those other things, I didn't have any prior experience. So I did pull in people through the 48-hour film festival that knew better what they were doing. I got the cinematographer who was working on the feature with me, and then we pulled in a bunch of other people, and really had a good time. The film, we got it done, we got it turned in, but it didn't really make any sense.
First one, right?
Yeah, it was the first one, and once again, I was just really ambitious. We had a huge crew, and I think where we went wrong is my communication with the editor. So we had there's one specific shot that was supposed to be like a one take on a Steadicam, and in the shot there were supposed to be lights and C stands and things because we were saying it was like a research facility. So the C stands were supposed to be in the shot, but nobody got that message to the editor. So we were giving him this footage, and he thought that the C stands were just mistakes, like we just like
Oh,
shot them and didn't realize they were there. So he edited this one take shot. It's supposed to be like a minute and a half one take, and he ended up cutting it up into like 40 different clips because he cut every single time he saw a C stand, he would cut it and then
okay.
continue. So that's
Wow.
part of the reason a lot of things didn't really make sense. But it taught me like about communication and why, yeah, everybody really does have to be in the loop. Yeah, I learned a lot on that in
So
that one.
what was the name of that short film? Is it online so anybody can see it?
That one is not online. You would have to be a very good friend of me for me to be able to pull that one.
Oh man, I'm so curious to see
It's called
how
Black Love, though, and
Black
it's
Love.
Black Love in a way that not the way you would think. It's not a race thing. It's more she is kind of has a disease, and so her blood is black.
Oh, that's
So it's a
interesting.
trick. It's
So,
kind of a play on words.
so it's a sci-fi, a sci-fi,
100%. Yeah, definitely
100%
sci-fi.
sci-fi,
Yeah, yeah.
and
But I'm
does
really
it have
proud. I
lots of
have to say, I'm very proud of what we did. So even though we didn't necessarily able to get it to gel in that one weekend,
right?
like it was shot very well. Like we had a really good like team, and people were very positive. Um, and I'm very proud of it. Like we had really good music. We had a whole very like live
Wow.
instruments. We had like a lot of good effort on that. And I still am friends and work with a lot of those people to this day.
Okay. Well, so everybody's watching. We got about 6 people so far to watch, which is kind of exciting.
Awesome.
Nick Molbach, say hi. He was excited to see you here, and then Shark Fin
Shark
Technology.
fin. Okay, yeah, shark fin
You
is
say
there.
you say hi earlier.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for anybody who's watching this or listening, if you got any question for Darion, this is the time to post out there, ask question for him about filmmaking. We can go a little bit more in depth about how he became who he is now and working for one of the largest visual effects company. So speaking on that, so your first film does it have a lot of visual effects at all, or it just mostly just a sci-fi thing?
Yeah, I think I jumped right in with some visual effects on that one as well. Both of those were science fiction, and so we did have some visual effects, and that's part of the reason it was challenging, for the edit. It's like only 48 hours,
Yeah, yeah.
so all the things we were trying to do with visual effects and with all of those things, we had practical effects, we had black blood, we had we had her turning into kind of a zombie-ish type of character.
Oh,
I mean, there was a lot going on. It was just very ambitious for a one weekend project.
wow, that's actually exciting. I really want to see it now. I'm so eager to want to find out more about it.
I'll be able to, you're in the in club with me, Johnny.
Yes.
So you'll slide you that link.
Thank you. Rev just joined us too. So Rev, say hi.
With
So
with an aggressive NDA that it cannot go public.
I'll do my best not to sign my name.
Yeah. Hey,
So
Rev,
it's
what's
all
up,
good.
man?
Jules, say hi too. Ching is just watching right
Ching
now.
Jewel, hey, what's going on?
Look at
Ching.
Ching. Look, Darren's over there in California. Look at the weather there. So nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful,
Look at
beautiful.
that.
Yeah, I can walk around a little because look here. This is
That's ridiculous. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is see, look at this atrium that I'm.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean this campus is truly amazing. Yeah, I could, if they would let me, I'd probably just hang out with Cyan all the time and just live here with her. I don't know how much she would appreciate that, but.
Well, Ching said she's jealous right now. I know I'm jealous too. I mean, we have 20 degrees weather here right now, so I'm not liking this. So, all right. So, back to your short film.
Some people
So,
studying over
which short film got you got a lot of winning awards? Got get you into where you are now?
Yeah. So once I did those first couple of projects, I learned a lot, and this is all within that same first year, right? Because kind of once I got started, it was something that I take very seriously. So I was very kind of pretty intense, I would say, which is kind of how I do a lot of things. And so by the third film was, okay, I want to do more planning. I want to have it organized properly. So that's where I did it's a film called Hop. It's on my Vimeo channel, which is my name, Darion D'Anjou. But this was the first one where I started to win some awards and got into some festivals, because that film, I took more time about production design, the color schemes. It's very bright, brilliant colors. It's got like a pink and blue, very expressive colors to it. And it's a sci-fi also, about a guy who they get this special designer drug that you drop into your eye. And when you drop it into your eye, it allows you to hop into the perspective of another person that you look at. So you can look at another person and you can like kind of jump into their mind.
Wow.
And see from their eyes and you hear what they hear, right? And so
is this like you know what, you were probably the one that started the concept for the TV show that start something like that. Remember those TV show where you take the pill and then you become somebody else?
Yeah, I think I can't remember the name. I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of the name right now.
Yeah, I can't either.
There have been a few where that concept is starting to come a little bit more and more into some pictures and things. But I think it's such a cool one to explore, because it's the idea of because even though it's sci-fi, right? I like to talk about connections between people. And so the idea that if you can see through somebody else's perspective, see what they see, live through their body, even, that is almost like a different way of seeing the world, and should be able to bring some perspective to people. So I think I'm always trying to find the way the technology is giving us more perspective, or switching up the experiences. So Hop was one of those, and that film was the first quite successful one, because it was, I mean, I did the full shot list, really well planned. We had a production schedule. We did actually Airbnb, so we shot in one Airbnb, and we had an Airbnb across, which was like holding. So makeup was being done in that one, and catering was being done in that one, so they could go between the shooting Airbnb and the holding Airbnb. And of course, we got the skateboarders.
I was wondering what kind of noises that was that.
Because that's what you pay to send your kid to Stanford to do, right? No,
That's so good.
Of course they should do that. But so that one was just much better planned, and I took my time, and the result actually and so I got into the Atlanta Sci-Fi Film Festival with that, and then I ended up being in the finals of the Atlanta Sci-Fi Film Festival
Wow.
with that film. So that was Hop was the first one that kind of got me, started getting me some good attention.
Wow. I'm actually found your Vimeo account and saw your demo reel from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Crap, that kind of visual effects there, it's ridiculous.
Thank you, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what got you into so interested in sci-fi and visual effects?
Yeah. So okay. So like, you know me from Clubhouse, and when I introduce myself in Clubhouse now, you'll hear me say I'm a writer, director, and I'm a multi-hyphenate, because in essence I'm a writer, director, a cinematographer, visual effects supervisor, editor, all of these things. But the thing is, 5 years ago I was only a writer. Like that was the only thing I was doing um well. And so then I started to enter the journey of being a director. And so what happened is, as I kind of got more into directing, and of course I have this big love for science fiction, what I noticed is that Ching, it's 32. I look like 21. Yeah, I got started early. But in the journey of being a director, what you notice is, like, I want my films to look a certain way, but I don't have the budget to hire these big time cinematographers, right? But I want the big time cinematography look. So there's really only one way to do that, and either you have to have friends who will do it, and they're just really good cinematographers, which I did. But the problem is those guys start getting booked, right? Because they're good. They're good at what they do. So you might be able to get them for like one project, but then now they're booked when you want to do the other project. So I guess over time I just said, man, F it. I don't know what rating we're trying to have on this show, but I said F it, which is short for fudge. Yeah. So I said fudge it, and I said I got to start to pick up some of the. At first I wasn't planning to be a cinematographer. I was just like, let me pick some of it up so that if I need to shoot something and I don't have a good cinematographer, I can still make it look good. And then over time I realized, holy moly, this is fun. Like, cinematography is actually, I get it now. I get why, I get why somebody could only want to, because I never could understand that. I was like, why would somebody want to just be a cinematographer and never just write and tell their own stories? And then when I got into it, I said, I get it, because there's so much in it. It's so expressive. There's so many different ways you could tell the same story that it's like an endless pursuit, and I got sucked into it, and I got into cinematography. But to kind of answer your question, that's how it's been. It's always been one by one, by need. Like, I'm low budget. I don't have a studio giving me money, but I still want to make these movies. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm going to do it and I want it to be quality, I guess I might have to just learn. It's like, either I'm going to have the money, or I have to just learn, and maybe it's going to be slower or it's going to take me longer, but I still will be able to get the visual effects as opposed to just not have them. And so that's really how visual effects came into it.
So
Yeah,
you got to learn about being a cinematography and use that knowledge to do your visual effects stuff.
it kind of just bled into one. It was more like, well, okay, I need them to have like a swipe screen, Well,
Right,
how do I do that? Well, okay, I asked a few people. They said, okay, that's going to be $500. That's going to be $1,000. That's going to, like this, right? And I said, or maybe just get on YouTube and save the $500 and you learn. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, so I'm looking at your earlier was watching your demo reel from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you use Blender or use any kind of a 3D animation software to do that?
Yeah, no, so that's a good question. So basically this demo reel, so let's say at that point I was about, I would say about 3 years busy, with making films. And so I'm making these visual effects. People are seeing them on my films, and then they're asking me to do visual effects. So I'm like, okay, that's money. Like, so let me start to, make some money to pay back for some of these films by charging and, doing visual effects for people. And then I got excited and I said, well, guess what? If I want to do the high end visual effects, I better go to school. And I'm actually, that story is related to my daughter, why it's kind of good to have a daughter. One of the many reasons. Uh, she's like,
Did she just walk away further from you?
Well, so this is what happened. Actually, that year was 2019, and she was with me for the summer, right back from school, and I was like, she's going to start looking for internships, right? Sophomore year of college, she's
Hmm.
going to start looking for internships. Let me see what I can do to maybe help to introduce her to different ideas of creative, because she's creative as well, right? So it was like, what kind of creative jobs could she get into and things like that. So we went to SIGGRAPH, which I don't know if anybody watching, if you don't know, it's a big computer graphic and arts. It's computer graphics and arts convention, right? And it was taking place in Los Angeles. So, so me and Cyan flew out to SIGGRAPH, and my 100% intention was just to help her get as many business cards and contacts and networking with these companies as she could, so that she could get like an internship for the next year, right? So we're doing that, and she's like, networking, and we're doing all of these things. But I'm also like, I'm like, look, I'm also excited about all this stuff. I'm looking at these computer graphics, and I actually saw a Korean school that was gonna charge like $8,000 a year for the 8,000 US for the tuition for a whole year of complete training in visual effects from beginning to end,
Oh
right?
wow, it's
And
not
at
very
the
bad.
end, yeah, no. So I was like, whoa, 8,000. And so I was like, and then all I would have to do is figure out how to like pay to live, and all of that. I was like, I think I texted Cyan. I was like, Cyan, where are you? You've got to come and check this out. I said, I had her look, and she was like, whoa, it looks pretty cool. So what's your plan? I was like, I'm going there. Like on the spot. I was like, I'm literally going back to Atlanta, redoing my life, and I'm going to Korea for a year to become this like expert visual effects person. And that was my plan. I literally left that we were there for a week. I came back home, and that was my plan. And then I started emailing them, and they wouldn't respond. I started calling them, and I couldn't get anybody that spoke any English. And all of their promises of having like an international person, there's somebody English who's always there, who will translate, well, all of that. I was like, that's not gonna work. But here's what happened: is my mind was already in the set mindset of, I'm gonna go to school and just accelerate my knowledge of visual effects. So even though that didn't work out, I found the school, the Lost Boys School of Visual Effects in Canada. They're one of the best in the world. I recommend them highly to anyone in the world. Very international students that they have. I went to school with a young lady from the Ukraine. Shout out Anna. Went to a young man, Matthias from Sweden. Hey Matthias, what's up, man? Who'd some fun? And a couple other Canadians. And so we learned visual effects together. And that reel that you're looking at was the result of me going to that school in Canada.
That's very impressive, and that's
Yeah,
probably the reason why you got where you're at right now. So this is
it
what Ching
is.
said about you right now. Take a look at it.
She wants me to get eye level. Okay,
I know, right?
I'll
He
do
is
that.
so picky. She, Ching will love you anyway.
I need to raise the bow on my viola.
Uh-oh. Here's my baby boy, John John, right? Showing the show. All right, so I met you in
Ching
Clubhouse.
is a viola teacher, so she's a stickler. She doesn't play that.
Exactly, right? So I met you from Clubhouse, and that was about a year ago. And you strike me to be a very very patient, very smooth, very chill person. It's almost like every time you talk, it's like so smooth, like very suave kind of style.
Oh
It's
right.
very exciting. So we became friends on Facebook, Clubhouse, and then you started this 1 minute film school. Tell us a little bit about this 1 minute film school. I think a lot of people should get involved, and why they should get involved.
Yeah. So because my whole approach to film was a little bit chaotic, right? As I kind of mentioned, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, it was just, I knew that I wanted to make films, but I didn't have a clue, to be quite honest. And so, you know, while I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to redo my life, because my life is the way it is, there are things that I learned where if I were starting now, knowing what I know, I think there's a different approach that I would take that would be more effective. And that approach would be to make 1 minute films as opposed to doing features. Don't
Yeah.
think anybody should just start with a feature. I really don't believe that that's the right path. Um, I say that categorically. I don't think starting with a feature is the right path for any filmmaker. That is really, it's just not the right way to go. There are too many moving parts and variables that you really should learn in order to make a feature. But if you make 1 minute films, they're very short and you can begin and finish them in a short amount of time, even one day, right? It's possible to come up with an idea in the morning, write it down, create the process for it, shoot the film and edit it, and have a completed film in one day. And so that, to me, it increases the faster learning. It's like you go through the process, you finish. There's another thing that has to do just with success in general, which is like training your mind to win and training your mind to finish, right? So it's something that is, they say about athletes. So when athletes are coming up in sports, they say that your percentage of winning to the percentage of losing should be like 70-30 or 60-40 at worst, right? Because you need to have your mind in a mindset of it usually wins. And sometimes loses, but usually wins, right? And so I think it's the same with filmmakers, that when you learn to finish, your brain gets addicted to this thing of finishing. It's like, you don't get stuck because you're like, I'm supposed to finish. I'm used to finishing. But if you don't finish projects, your brain can also get used to not finishing. So that is part of what I don't always really say that in the school, like when I'm talking to everybody, because that's more in the psychology of it. But I know that that's the psychology of it. Is I know that when people are finishing their 1 minute films, once they finish like 2 or 3 films, they're probably never going to not be a filmmaker, because once they know that they can finish, there's a confidence.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
I've finished a film. I'm going to say a name like Aja Yet, right? To me, she's one of the biggest success stories in the 1 minute film school. She was there from the beginning, and she was stressed. She said there were people were ripping her off. People would kind of disrespect her on set. Like DPs would kind of like, well, you don't really know anything. So they wouldn't do what she was wanting them to do, even though it's still her vision, right? And since the 1 minute film school, when I hear her talk on stages and she's able to say, I'm an award-winning filmmaker because she's won so many awards through my school, she's finished so many projects through my school, and she's also created longer films that have gone on to other festivals beyond my school. And so, I would say I'm extremely proud of her. And that is really, I don't think she'll turn back anymore, because now that she has that confidence, I can make a film, then always she'll go for it. So that's what I'm going for with that.
And I gotta say, being part of your organization for the 1 minute film school is very exciting, and I get to had the chance to watch so many great 1 minute films. And sometimes like, how can you do this? Because I wouldn't be able to figure out how to end it, but yeah, they can end everything in 1 minute. It's ridiculous. And you have a lot of support. You have Sinclair, which is watching right now. He was supporting, and
Hey,
we have
Sinclair. Yeah,
Ching
Sinclair
doing
came in
doing all the support. Oh, here's a question
$500
from
cash
Paula.
award last year. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And not to mention, though, just for everybody knowing, Johnny Woo has been the most consistent sponsor and supporter since the beginning, with awards every month. And I'm so appreciative of that.
Well, you know what? Because I have so many free stuff from all the different vendors, so I just had to give it away. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to keep it here anymore.
Do you know, Johnny? Oh, I got a quick little thing.
Yeah.
Reginald Sinius is one of the guys who's won the award like twice. You probably remember when you had to send him an audio device because he
Yeah, the
won.
wireless microphone.
Yeah, he won a few different prizes, and one of them was an audio recorder. Um, well, yeah. So anyway, I could be confusing exactly what prize it was, but he won that. And the funny thing is, ever since then, I've also been working with him on projects in Atlanta, right?
Oh,
So I've done I work with him a lot now. It's like he's one of my good friends right now. And so we've worked on a number of projects, and then we were working on a kind of a lower budget project a few weeks ago, and we needed an additional sound recorder. and he had that sound recorder that he had won through the 1 minute film school.
Look at
And,
that.
and we were able to use it as an extra sound recorder for the shoot that we were doing. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Look at that. That's all exciting. They graduate from your 1 minute film school, and then you continue to make movies with you now with working with a mentor and learning and become better filmmaker. That's wonderful. So we got a question here from Paula. So we'll see whether you can
Hi,
answer that.
Paula. I recognize her from the app. Yeah, Paula, she's great.
So can you read her
Is
question?
it imperative that I have a film production company business plan over attempting to obtain funding? Wow. So here's the thing. I think that the business plan part of it is similar to the shot listing and preparing for making films. So when I do a shot list and when I do storyboards and I do things like that, I find that I have a better result on my film because doing that work forces me to think about maybe more ideas about the film that are not even when I write down shots that don't change. Uh, it still makes me think about it, and it makes me kind of get some new ideas and kind of let it to sink in. And so I would say that the business plan is more important than the funding because you need the business plan to get the funding. Um, I would say the answer is yes. Go for the. I haven't done a lot of business planning. I'll be honest because I've been just more so on the craft side. Like I'm not really that deep yet with like raising. I've never really done any raising funding for my films or anything like that, except I did a Kickstarter, but that was for a graphic novel. But for movies, I haven't really done that. So I'm not the expert of like going out and raising funding. Um, I feel like I'll get to that point when it's desperately needed. I'll rather just make more films, and then when it really gets to that point, I'll go for that level of knowledge. But I would say, because I do have good friends and I've been involved in projects that have been funded, their plans look quite amazing. Like they're very detailed, and those are the ones that I've seen that have been successful. Have only been the ones where the plan was like, mwah, like all the way
Nice,
impeccable. I hope
nice.
that helps.
Right. So Ching got a question for you too.
Okay, so Jewel Media Ching, my good friend Ching, says being a filmmaker is an awesome experience for me. What do you see as the most three qualities that one needs to be equipped with? Okay, so this is pretty easy. So I would say the quality is I'm going to start with adaptability as the first one, meaning, yeah, okay, you can plan as much as you want, but be ready to throw out the plan because this is film and it's chaotic. And no matter how much you planning is great, but it's just to be prepared for all of the situations because it will not go 100% according to plan at all. So being able to kind of accept that change without freaking out, I think is a really important quality. So don't freak out. Let's call that the first one. Other quality is understanding people. That's also probably more important than the first one. Um, because I don't know of anybody that makes films on their own. So even if you're a one-man film, you still are shooting somebody. So like there's somebody that you're dealing with, and even if you're a one man and you're shooting yourself as the film, you're still going to end up showing the film to people. And so you're going to need to convince people to get excited about your film. So in the end, films are about people. And so having empathy for people, having a love for people, even telling stories that people are going to care about is an expression of what do you care about. Like if you care about stuff that other people care about, then your films, people will care about your films, So people. And then that last quality is definitely just persistence.
Mm.
This is like you just have to be convinced that you're going to finish. And I don't care what you know in your head. I don't care what equipment you have. I don't care where you came from. But if you have that desire and that will to finish some kind of way, you will find a way, period. I believe in every single person who really believes in themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a wonderful three good tips there. Then since you talk about equipment, does a filmmaker need to have their own equipment to make movies?
Not at all. Absolutely not. Yeah, you don't need any equipment to make movies. If you have those three qualities, like that people quality is the most important one, right? So if you know somebody with a camera, if you know, obviously you have a phone, so that's already a camera. But even if you didn't have a phone, I mean, you, when the first three films I made, I didn't own any equipment. You know what I mean? So like when I started and was doing that, I went to do a feature and I didn't have anything. I didn't have lights. I didn't have anything. All I did was I like made this green screen in my dining room. It was crazy. And but I talked to people and I wrote a story and I convinced them that this story would be compelling, and they got excited about it. And so they all brought their stuff. Like if I think about the 48-hour film festival that I did, all I did was go. I didn't have a script because you can't write the script ahead of time, right? So I went with nothing. I just showed up at the 48 with a dream to make a film, and I said to people, "Hey, my name is Darion D'Anjou. I'm a writer director, and I want to make a successful team to make a film. Who wants to be on board?" And a bunch of people came on board, and we made a film, and there were a lot of great things about it, and there was a lot of mess about it too, but we made it. And so and the third film that I made, I also didn't have any equipment, but I wrote the script, and I knew more people now from doing the 48s and doing stuff, and I made that film also without any equipment. So it was only until like the second year in that I started to get equipment when I got excited about cinematography. Then I said, well, let me see about maybe buying a camera and doing these things. But other than that, I don't think people need equipment. They just need heart and the vision.
All right, so I kind of agree with Rev. He got a question for you, and I totally
Yeah.
agree with him. Here's the question.
Well, you tell me, Rev, because you're a badass. You're a badass yourself, But that's funny. I love Rev. Yeah, if you guys aren't following Rev McInnes, then you should definitely be. He's another sponsor, actually, of the Darion D'Anjou 1 Minute Film School. He's been consistently doing interviews and bringing spotlight to our filmmakers, which has been very, very awesome.
Yeah, totally. So I got a question here. I remember last year you participated the 48 hours film competition in
Yeah.
Atlanta, and you won, and your film did really well.
Yes.
Would you mind tell us about the process of that, how you made that happen? Because many of us, many newcomer filmmakers want to become successful like you, and they don't know where to start. And maybe 48 hours film project would be a good way for them to start moving forward.
I agree. Like 48 hours, definitely my film school. And it's just a way, it gives you a deadline, right? It's like you have to make this film in 48 hours. So it gets rid of the procrastination, it gets rid of the perfectionism, it gets you moving, and it gets you to meet people. It's like really fun, right? Because you have all these events and you say what you do. Oh, I do production design, I do wardrobe, I'm a storyboard artist, right? And you put together a team and you guys get together and make a film in 48 hours. And in this particular case, I'd done quite a few of them before. And I'd done one with my daughter before, actually. We did one in LA. And then she was in town. So I thought, oh, wow, this is great. We can make a film together for this 48. So that was really the idea, was like, let me and Cyan make a film together, because now she's, so good at what she does that she is a writer and a director in her own right. And so what we
Wow.
decided to do was, she's edited over, I don't know, Sai, how many videos would you say you've edited? hundreds of
Jeez, she's
videos.
gonna be your boss in the future.
Yeah, I love it if she's my boss. That would be great. Cyan, can you give me a job later? Okay. There, I just got you guys heard it on YouTube. I've got a job for the future. So
There you go.
so that was the idea. I mean, she's a really, really, really creative person. And so we were just like, let's make a movie together. That was the plan. And then the other thing was keep it small. So because also kind of COVID situation and all that, we were just like, well, let's keep our team to about like 5 or 6 people, and like 2 actors, and that was it. So I think our whole team was 6 or 7 people total, which makes for a very fun weekend. So me and Cyan got together, wrote the script. We got a new actor. We picked up one actress who had auditioned for that 48. We did not know her, but I saw her audition on the site, and I was like, holy moly, how. I called her. I thought she was going to be taken, right, by all of the other teams. And I called her and said, you know, I know you're probably taken, but I just thought I would call and find out. And she was like, no, nobody's asked me to be part of their team. I'm like, oh my gosh, please come join our team. And she joined our team, and then we worked with somebody else that we knew that we worked with a lot, Darrell Lyons, and he's just a brilliant actor. And that was it. It was just mainly those two actors. Also, we did have a voiceover from actually Karis Crimson connected me with a British actor friend who did like the British voiceover for the AI.
Oh,
So
wow.
you know, AI voice always has to be British, right? That's the it's like if it's not British, it doesn't feel like it has authority. So those are technically the only three actors in the whole movie, and one of them was a voiceover from a distance, and that actress was nominated for Best Actress for the 48.
Yeah,
Yeah,
congratulations. I
she
was
was
very
nominated.
impressed.
She lost to a good friend of mine, but I mean, to be nominated is such a big thing. And can you imagine? Nobody was picking her up to even make a movie. I saw her audition and I thought to myself, I mean, this is gonna sound like I mean, I just thought to myself, everybody else is stupid. Like she is so like I'm like, her audition is sitting there online and there are like hundreds of teams and she's saying I want to be in a movie and nobody had seen how talented she is. And I said, this is a
Wow.
no-brainer. And so we got her, and then boom, she's nominated for Best Actress. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, that I haven't seen. Is that 48-hour film project out there yet for people to watch yet, or still not available?
That one, yeah, I believe they had it on the 48-hour site, but now that I think it's past the time, I think I can now post it soon. So I'll
Yeah, you
probably,
should probably post it as soon as
yeah,
that'll be great. That'll be great. So,
I'll post that one now that it's free. So for people don't know about the 48 hours is like, so when you get kind of like nominated for awards and stuff, it kind of keeps your film in their system longer. So you have to wait a little bit of while they have rights to kind of promote it for a certain amount of time. But I think now it must be free. So yeah.
yeah. Wow, time is almost flying very fast. We had another 15 minutes, and I got a whole
What?
bunch of more questions for you. Look at
You
that.
mean we've been going for 15 minutes?
Well, we've been going for 45 minutes.
No way, Johnny. Come on.
Yeah, time really flies. But there's one
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Rev asked this question, but I'm not gonna answer in public because this show is about you, Darion, not me. So I can talk to Rev about this later on.
Johnny
But
does get doo doo done, man. He really gets he gets a lot done. He's I wanted to say it family friendly, right?
there you
No,
go.
but
Keep it
Johnny,
family friendly.
I will take a second to say that what I respect a lot about Johnny is that, especially as a producer, you get stuff done, man. Like everything that you said that you're going to do, I've just seen you do it. You know,
Thank you.
yeah, and that to me, like I said, is the most important. You know, like that's the thing for everybody who's out there who may be interested in doing films or doing anything like that. It's really just the doing. You know, like you don't have to get caught up in like, oh, is your film going to be Oscar award winning or Academy award winning? That kind of stuff will only like slow you down and actually keep you from getting to that point, because you really just have to move and just do
Right.
stuff and be willing to fail, be willing to look like a jerk. Like I told you, there's so many films that I made that you won't see, that don't, they look, it's just not good films. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if I didn't have those films, I wouldn't have any of the good films. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for that. It's I love producing. I love being a director. I love editing. I think the planning process of filmmaking is always enjoyable for me. And I'm not sure about other people, but usually that's also the most depressing part.
Yeah.
Scheduling. That's like pulling your hair out because you want to make sure everybody get where you're supposed to be, get them to go. So all right. So you were traveling also last year to Mexico and shooting this music video. It was incredibly beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Tell us about the experience.
that one's in post. That's going to be lovely when it comes out. We shot over 15 terabytes of footage for a
Why that
series.
many?
Yeah, for the artist is I am King Joel on Instagram, and he's got a huge number of followers that keeps growing because he's just a very energetic, passionate artist. But I was lucky enough to be brought on to shoot 8 music videos for him, and which we did. and we shot in Atlanta. We shot in Mexico. I even Mexico is beautiful. I'd never been to Mexico, so this was like a great opportunity for me. And we went there and we had a local team which knew all of these secret places to go to that you would only know if you like. We weren't even in Cancun or any like place that you know would know to go. They had all these little spots that we could go to. We just needed to describe to them the feel of what we wanted to achieve, and they would just deliver, right? And we would show up, and you know, anything we needed, like drones, cameras, you know, any kind of stuff. We were shooting underwater. We had underwater photography in the cenotes. We had people diving into the water with an underwater camera under there, and then boom, you get the person diving under there. Like, we had mermaids, like with actual mermaid like tails,
Wow.
swimming around in the water. The guy was on horses. I mean, it is just an amazing experience. And then I was actually also able to remote direct some of the project, which was shot in Nigeria. So
Wow.
that was, yeah. So
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 how
we
many
went.
cameras did you use per each location?
So in Mexico, at we were at times shooting with up to 6 cameras, just
Wow. Are
because
they
there
the same
was.
type of cameras or different cameras?
Well, yeah, different types, because we would have, like, I know, like, our red was our main camera, but then we had a few Sonys out there, and then at times I would have the people who were doing BTS. I would say, hey, listen, we need more angles. Can you shoot some actual footage for us right now instead of BTS? And so
Right.
that was when we would get more cameras on things. Yeah, because there were
That's great.
certain things you didn't want to have people doing like multiple times. Like we had one of the actors. We flew down from Atlanta. He was like running through the jungle and kind of covered in mud and getting out of the water and climbing up through a cave and stuff. So that kind of stuff, you wouldn't want him to do it like once or twice, you know. So we get multiple angles so that we would have more things to cut from, so that
Right.
he can do this kind of very aggressive thing like less times.
Right. That's the. I can't wait to see the finished product. That'll be so exciting.
Yeah.
So now that you're working for a big company, tell us about the ordeal, how you get into the company and what you're doing there now.
Absolutely. So, and I've been very fortunate. I just have to say that, I don't take anything for granted at all. I mean, I do work hard, but at the same time, I'm also fortunate. Um, so one of the fortunate things that happened to me is that, when I went to visual effects school in Montreal at Lost Boys School of VFX, um, I my professor. This is what happened. My professor was actually being requested to be a trainer at Digital Domain, but being that he had, he's got multiple jobs. This guy, so he was like, I can't do it, but there is a young man who's part of my class who I think has the nature to be, even though he doesn't have the experience that he would have, but he has the nature to be able to work with different types of people, lots of personalities. And so my job at Digital Domain um, is as a visual effects trainer. And what that means is, when Digital Domain hires people to come into the company, like, they might be good animators, right? These are world class animators, of course, and they might be great at, doing explosions, or they're really great at, modeling, right? But they don't know the process of how Digital Domain makes shots. So my job is really to be an expert of the Digital Domain process from beginning to end, how they do visual effects, and then to train. I only really get a couple of days to train them into that process, so that we can quickly get them up and running on a show. So, like a show like Spider-Man, which I did, I onboarded a lot of the visual effects artists for that. um, we need those artists to be able to get on the show and start producing work very quickly. So my job is really to really quickly get them to the point that now we can get them working on the movie without being slowed down by little technical things like, where do I get this asset from, or how do I publish this, or where do I render, or where can I find it, things like that. So it's
Mhm.
my job to really train them in an effective way, so that they are more effective when they get onto the shows.
That's incredible. So you just mentioned about Spider-Man. So how many films currently nominated for Oscars that your team worked together?
Yeah,
Worked on?
It's truly amazing. So Digital Domain, for many who don't know, was started by James Cameron about 25 years ago.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's one of the premier, like even for example, Nuke, which is it's the top visual effects compositing software that's used in
Right.
the world. That was developed at Digital Domain
Okay.
as an in-house tool, and then it eventually became the industry standard, and then they sold it off so that it could just be a standalone product.
Wow.
But there are a lot of technologies that were developed by Digital Domain, including, for example, when they did Tupac as a 3D hologram. That was Digital Domain that
Okay.
was behind that technology. But this year, of the 5 films that are nominated for visual effects Oscars, Digital Domain worked on 3 of the 5 films. So Free Guy, which if anybody who hasn't seen it, it is such an entertaining film. Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home. So it was a really big year for us as far as like visual effects Oscars nominations.
That's really wild, and really congratulations. Now, does that mean that if one of those wins award, you become an Oscar winner?
I wish that were the case. No, the people who get it are the visual effects supervisors.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they're so there are 2. Usually, with each of those films, there are 2 people in our company who would actually get a physical Oscar.
Definitely. Okay. So
Yeah.
Ching had this question for you. So I had to finish what you were talking first.
So Ching says, "How do you feel about iPhone production?" I love iPhone production. So, yeah, back to what I was saying though about the idea of democracy and filmmaking and just being able to get out there and really make films as really the way to go. Um, I think that iPhone is the revolution. People are making amazing quality films with their iPhones, and Apple has doubled down on it. Like, for example, the iPhone 13 allows you to shoot in ProRes, which is an industry standard codec. So you can actually shoot in a codec that's used, a compression format that is used industry wide and recognized, which is ProRes. Um, it has a lot of additional features that allow you to really make imagery that is competitive with a lot of the cinema cameras that are out there. And for that to be in an instrument which is just your phone, which you already own, it just allows more people to be able to tell stories. And that, in my belief, there are a lot more people out there who have great and interesting stories for us than the limited selection of people who've been able to tell them in the past. And so I'm for freedom and I'm for democracy. And the iPhone is bringing more freedom and democracy to the film industry. And
You know,
I'm for that.
I was using today the iPhone 13 Pro Max and using the cinematic version. It was it was hunting for focus for the object, and it was moving all over the places instead of focusing on one person. It drove me crazy. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's still a more fixing need to be done. And eventually it'll get better. All
Yeah,
right. So
they got to
yeah,
save something to sell the 14, right?
exactly right. They're coming out the middle of this year. iPhone 14 is coming out in summer in or fall
Oh,
this year.
okay.
So they're
Yeah.
probably doing that. So who knows? So what is your pet peeves?
Pet peeves. Oh, people who come to set and don't read the script. Yeah, that's a big one for me. I just feel like it doesn't matter what size the set or what the budget is. Like if you're showing up to go work on the film, like you should know what the film is even talking about. Like you just read the script, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, I just think a lot of people get the impression that it's kind of a worker mentality where it's like, oh, I'm just a PA on this shoot. I don't really need to be invested. But I think you're going to be a lot more successful if you are invested, because I can
right.
always tell. Like I can
Yes.
tell the difference between a PA who understands what scene we're even shooting. Like, why are we even shooting this? Like, do you even know why I'm asking you to move that C stand over there? Or are you just doing it because you want to be on a film set? Read the script and become engaged in the production and become invested in what you're making, and you'll move a lot. You'll learn a lot faster, and you'll progress a lot faster because people will notice it.
Wow, good,
I'll
great
definitely
advice.
notice it.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of filmmakers will notice that too. Once you, if you get engaged, people are like, okay, we're gonna bring you back again next time in future too. It
Absolutely.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's also is that gonna be your advice for filmmakers or filmmakers wannabe? What would be the advice for them?
Just do it, man. Just do it and ask for help for sure, because like there's just too much information out there now to feel like you're get forget the idea that anybody's stopping you from anything. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like this whole idea of, I did a room actually, earlier this morning, and it was about because I just read an article from the Blacklist that listed all the scripts that got purchased by studios in 2021. And do you know what those numbers were?
No.
All right, you got to take a breath. That's why I paused, because this is a big deal. So 80,000 scripts were registered last year at the Copyright Office. 80,000.
Wow.
32 scripts got sold to major studios last year in 2021. Right? Just to give that perspective for anybody who's watching or watches this or whatever like that, 60 people were drafted into the NBA last year. So that's almost twice as many people were making it as NBA professional basketball players than were paid to sell their scripts. Spec scripts. Of course, I'm not talking about all like the rewrites or, commission scripts and things like that. I'm talking about like you write your own idea as a script and then you sell that
Wow.
script basically. So spec. It's not saying only 32 writers were paid, but I'm saying that there are only 32 scripts that were just written from somebody's mind as a, and then
Out of
sold.
80,000.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
out
this
of 80,
this
out of 80,000. Yeah.
this is actually worse than what we talked about before. Like 27% of the film distributed more than $250,000 budget actually can see a return on investment. So
That's
that
it.
number become higher compared to this number.
Yeah. So so
Wow.
so if you know those numbers, the reason I say those numbers is not to, and sorry about the helicopter in the back, but I see that somebody's probably getting flown to the Stanford Hospital right now. But it's not to be discouraging, right? I think that the numbers and the data can be empowering in the sense that it lets you know not to wait for somebody to greenlight you, right?
Right.
There's nobody's going to greenlight you. I mean, you're going to have to greenlight yourself. If you're going to be a filmmaker, just start with the idea that you're greenlighting yourself. Don't even think. This is just mine. A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I would say start your film career without even thinking about a deal or somebody buying anything or any of that. Just make good films. Just make good films, and then try to find an audience and get better and try to find more audience or whatever, right?
Right. Right.
And that's what I would say.
That's a very yeah, thank you for that. So we would keep talking about Room and Clubhouse. You want to tell the audience here or viewers what's Clubhouse and why they should join Clubhouse?
Yeah, Clubhouse has become a really, really important part of my life. It's my community. It's my family. It's fun. But what it is a social audio app, which basically means that you can get on there. So like right now, for me to be talking with Johnny on this YouTube live, like I had to have like a relatively clean shirt. You know what I mean? As you can see, I'm shaving. You know what I
You had to
mean?
take
And
a
all that.
shower.
Yeah, I had to take a whole shower and do all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that on Clubhouse, and that's the reason to get on. You can get on there without taking a shower. No, I'm just joking, but not really. It's a social audio, and so it's kind of more democratic in the sense that it's easy. You can get on, you can talk about any subject. You can make a room, like if you want to make a room on like uh palm trees, right? Like, hey, who likes palm trees or whatever, you can just make that room on Clubhouse and start talking about it. And that's special because it means you can talk about any topic, anything you want, at any time. And so thank you, Jing. And so Clubhouse is very fun to find your people. That's where you can find your people, and I found my people on Clubhouse.
Can you say that in Clubhouse you have more chances to meet producer or other filmmakers that can help you advance your career or make you better, become better filmmakers compared to Facebook?
Um, Well, that's a good question of compared to Facebook. So what I would say is that Facebook is a very effective tool for sure, but the thing that Clubhouse has over Facebook is like that way to get a personal connection. Facebook still kind of like, if you're not already friends with them in the real world and you just met them on Facebook, it doesn't feel like you're going to necessarily get more friends with somebody who you didn't know. But on Clubhouse, you're in these rooms. You know, Johnny and I have a room on Tuesday, Filmmaking 101. And so, you know, through that being in there, we hang out, we talk, we make jokes, and, you know, we share information, but it feels like we're hanging out, right? So we become quite good friends. And, you know, I wrote a script, you know, for Johnny, his project or whatever, because I felt like I like this guy and I want to work with this guy. You know what I mean? So like, that's really what it
I
is.
got like.
Yeah, like, you know, and so that's how it's been. And I've been working with, like I told you, I work with Reginald because he's in Atlanta. I've met a lot of these people offline, you know. Ching, I met Ching in New York, you know, and it's just like, it's a more personal feeling
Right.
than like a Facebook. And I wouldn't say get off Facebook, because Facebook is still good, but it's just different. It's a different level of connection.
Right. Totally. Thank you. You know, we're still working on our project. Don't forget that. I'm still working on that for
Yeah,
this year. That's
that's
still a
that,
plan. It's
that's
just a
really
little
cool.
bit behind because of all the things we're working on right now. You know, you got a full-time job, so you're actually busy too.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. That's the thing is, like, I understand that because you know what I mean? Because it's like we're with each other enough to understand it, and it's like it's not like I don't feel like Johnny is this weird stranger who I just like, hey, what's going on with that project? And he forgot about. I don't think he forgot about the project. I know Johnny's, you know, busy, and that's just normal, right? So, but because we have more of a connection, it gives more tolerance
Right.
to understand what's going on.
Look at that. See, Darren's very chill. And that's what I love about this guy. He is so chill. He came to my premiere. He did a stand-up comedy, and everybody enjoyed it. It was fun. And then when we had the after party event, all I see is Darren running all over the place and chatting with everybody, and he doesn't want to leave. It's like, come on, let's go home now. He's like, no, I want to stay.
Yeah, I remember you got tired at one point, and I was like, all right,
but
let me
that's
just say
Darion.
goodbye to a
Darion
few
is
people.
very social. It's a wonderful guy. I love him. I love how we are working together. Hopefully in the future. So Darren, how can people reach out to you after this, or how people can connect with you?
Oh yeah, I'm very open to connections and things like that. Instagram is the best way. I've got, actually, my username is on my profile on the screen right now. It's at Darion D'Anjou. That is in fact my profile on all of the social media, because luckily I have a unique enough name that you know, when I put my name as a username, people won't confuse me as the director of the Replacement Killers. I just give that one a second to sink in. But no, so my name won't get confused with some other famous people, and it's easy to find me. So yeah, just send me a message. I'm real easy to reach out to, and I'm welcome all kinds of questions, help, support, or if you need to hire somebody, that's also good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, thank you, Darren, for this. So I really appreciate Darren to be here with me next month, in March 20, I think, or 19. Is it March 19? Let me double check right now. Sorry, don't make a mistake. Yeah, March 19. I'm actually gonna have Tamika Roscoe here.
Oh, that's she's very
She's going to talk about crowdfunding and how she raised 40,000 in 42 days, and she basically is the queen of
twice,
crowdfunding in Clubhouse. Twice, yeah, not only
twice.
one, twice.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun thing to learn about crowdfunding. So yeah, so again, Darren, really appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here and hanging out, doing your vacation time with your daughter over there in California.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
We're gonna go hang out now.
All right, see you
Stay
guys. Take
sci.
care. Have a good day. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye.
All right, everybody. It's been real